Brandon Craven.
Yeah.
Brandon Craven. Was incomplete, and because the law requires that it be fully presented, that I'm going to strike it in its entirety. Okay, and then I had indicated before we wrote that the state could reopen the case on forfeiture action. Do you have evidence on that?
We already stand on the record as it's currently constituted, Your Honor.
All right. I think the evidence you offered was a statement by a deputy sheriff, by a city township police officer that there was a curfew in effect, and that's the extent of it?
Yes.
I don't believe that that's sufficient.
It's not. A motion is granted.
Thank you.
Up to 7 is dismissed on its merits. Anything else before we start?
There appears to be, Judge. Our first witness is Nicholas Smith. Mr. Binger has informed me that, and I guess I can let him tell you this, but that he has 2 juvenile adjudications. The year, can you tell me the years, Tom?
They're both from April 30th, 2014 here in Kenosha.
So I don't know how last time.
Was he at the time?
He would have been 16. He is now 23.
Hand me the.
There have been other criminal cases since then. There were 3 or 4 pending criminal cases that were resolved with pleas, one to disorderly conduct and one to violation of a temporary restraining order. That was from April of 2016, and then in May of this year, both of those adult convictions were expunged.
Okay, well, those are not going to count.
I understand that, but they're.
I understand your point that it shows persistent lawless behavior. Give me the. I guess I have the ability to look at it.
I can give you the case numbers if you'd like. 14 JV 36.
Number?
14 JV 36.
Okay, and the other?
14 JV 101.
you want to say anything? I'm going to count it as 2.
So the question is, have you ever been adjudicated delinquent, not convicted of a crime, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Just so. Do you understand that, Mr. Smith? Okay. And that's the only thing you answer is that number.
Okay, ready to go?
I am ready.
Okay.
Formally arrest in front of the jury first.
Yeah, please do.
Hello?
Would you come down, please?
Yes.
All right, you may be seated. Welcome back, and a couple of things. First off, there was testimony given by Brandon Kramen, an employee of the FBI, which was incomplete. It was interrupted, and because it was interrupted, it wasn't heard in full, and for that reason, I'm going to strike all of that testimony, and you must disregard that entirely. Any question about that? Okay. Number 2, the 7th count of the information accused the defendant of violation of a curfew, and that case is no longer part of the action here. So the information remains with 6 counts in it, and I'll instruct you further on those at the close of the case. But the 7th count of curfew violation is no longer part of the contest here. Okay? Thank you. Mr. Binger.
Your Honor, the state formally rests its case.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Sharafazi, the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. We would call Nicholas Smith.
Stand, please. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. You may be seated.
Sir, will you please state your name and spell it slowly for Madam
Nicholas Smith, Nicholas, Smith, Smith.
And Mr. Smith, I'm not looking for your specific physical address, but where do you live?
Here in Kenosha.
And how old are you right now?
23.
Have you ever been adjudicated delinquent in the past?
Yes, I believe.
How many times?
What does that mean? Can you clarify what that means?
Of how many offenses were you adjudged in juvenile delinquent?
1, I believe, as a delinquent.
If I told you it was 2?
It might be.
Okay. Now, are you currently employed, sir?
Yes.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work at a factory.
Right. And if I could, are you familiar with a business called Car Source?
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with that business?
I worked for them.
You worked for them?
Yes, I worked for CarSource, and I've known the owners for 10 years.
And who are the owners?
Sam, Sal, their dad, their mom, and their...
And do you remember when you worked for them specifically?
2018 to 2019.
So you worked for them 2018 to 2019, but you've known them for about a decade?
Close to a decade, yes.
And what I want to do, if I can, is direct your attention to August 24th of 2020. Okay?
Okay.
So that would be the day prior to the shootings involving Mr. Rittenhouse.
Yes.
On that day, did you have any contact at all with anybody from CarSource?
Yes, I did.
And who was that contact with?
Sam.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury what that contact was?
The night of the 24th, I received a phone call from Sam stating that his car doctor was on fire and asked if we could do anything.
Okay, now I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you, we've heard this at length here, but if I said to you the car doctor has been previously pointed out as this car source right here between 59th and 60th, is that fair?
Correct.
Okay, and that is what is commonly known to you as the car doctor.
Correct.
All right. And you had said that Sam had asked you for your assistance?
Me and one other.
Do you know who that was?
One other person?
Yeah.
Yes, that was Justin Hamilton.
And to your knowledge, did Mr. Hamilton, had he worked for CarSource in the past?
For 10 years, yes.
And on the 24th, what were you asked to do?
Sam had asked if we could do anything about the fires. Asked both of us.
And did you?
Yes.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you did?
Approximately around 9 o'clock, I'd received a phone call from Sam stating that car doctor was on fire and asked if we could do anything. And then not too long after, I received a phone call from Justin stating that he was going to car doctor to put out the fires. When they arrived, Justin and his son Austin, who was a previous employer for CarSource as well, when they arrived, we called Sam, and Sam had said that the body shop door, garage door, was unlocked, and to gain entry so that we could access the power washers and the buckets inside CarSource so that we could put out the fires.
So was Sam, he wasn't down there with you, is that fair?
No, he was not.
Okay. He just had given you guys information as to what he was hoping that you would do.
Correct.
And the information as to, well, I'll ask it to you this way, was the car doctor building locked?
No, the front door was, but the back door was not. The body shop door.
And did you gain access then to the shop?
Correct. He gave us permission.
And what did you do upon gaining?
We turned on the lights inside the building so that we could locate the power washer and all the buckets, and we proceeded to unlock the front door and put out the fires. And we had numerous amounts of bystanders help us as well that were also helping us put out the fires.
Now, on the 24th, was there anybody there physically protecting the business?
No.
And when you got there, what was the condition? I'll ask you, were there fires going on at that point, or
yes.
not? And that was at the car doctor location?
Correct.
So were you able then to combat the fires, deal with those fires?
Correct.
Okay. At any point on the 24th, did you see anybody associated with CarSource or Car Doctor down there?
In the morning of the 24th, yes.
Morning of the 24th or the 25th?
Not at that night, no, I did not. The morning of the 25th, I did.
Okay.
Sorry.
So 24th,
You're putting out the fires.
Correct.
You then go home at some point?
Correct.
What time do you think you left the car doctor?
1 a.m. Around 1 a.m. Anywhere between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m.
Now, if I can ask you about the 25th. On the 25th, do you have any contact with anybody from CarSource?
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
Sam.
And how do you have contact with Sam?
He calls me in the morning of the 25th asking if I could provide assistance to watch over the building later in that night. He called me and Justin Hamilton.
So at that point, he's not asking you to, if I have this right, he's not asking you to put out fires, he's asking for help protecting the business? Is that what
Correct.
he said? And how do you respond to that?
I say yes. I can help him. I can watch over the building.
And have you at that point kind of formulated a plan on what you're going to do?
Yes.
And what's that plan?
I had called my other friends who also had previously worked there, and our plan was we were going to set up on the roof and stay there most of the night watching the building.
And when you say that you had talked to or were planning on talking to your friends, who were they?
Austin Hamilton, Colin Doherty, and Justin Hamilton.
And did you have contact with those people at some point on the 25th?
Correct.
I'll ask it this way. What time did you get the call from Sam?
Early in the morning, anywhere between 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Not 10 p.m., 10 a.m.
And what time do you think you had contact with or spoke to the Hamiltons, the people that you were talking about?
Around 11 a.m. They first called me, and then I called Colin, and that was so around 11 a.m.
So after 11 a.m., is it fair to say that you believe you have like a plan in your head and people to help you with that plan?
Correct.
After 11 a.m., is there anything else, or is there something that happens that puts you in contact with anybody else that ends up there that night?
Yes.
And who is that?
Dominic Black.
And can you tell the jury what that contact with Mr. Black was?
I had noticed Dominic Black around the afternoon, 3 or 4 p.m. He was downtown, and I needed somebody to give me a ride to go buy some body armor because I had not planned on being armed that night. And he said he would give me a ride, and Kyle was with him. They came to my house around 4 p.m., 3 or 4 p.m. in that afternoon, picked me up, and I do not remember exactly what transpired after that, but Kyle ended up lending me his body armor and dropping me off, and they asked where I was going.
Okay, I'm going to slow you down for a second.
Correct.
Okay. So you had said that you saw a Snapchat.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with Snapchat, but so it's like a video or something?
Yes, correct. I saw a Snapchat video of Dominic downtown, Kenosha.
You then, from that Snapchat, reached back out to him?
Correct. I reached out to Dominic.
And you had mentioned that you were looking for or wanted some body armor, right?
Correct.
And that, you tell me what you wanted that for.
I had not planned on being armed, and I wanted a means of protecting myself, and body armor was the next best suit for it.
Now, you had said that you didn't plan on being armed. Was there a particular reason that you didn't plan on being armed?
We planned on being on the roof, and I see no reason that I was going to need to be armed.
Based on your location?
Correct. We were going to be on the roof. I did not foresee myself needing a firearm or having any confrontation with anyone needing to have a firearm.
And you had said that, if I have it right, that Kyle Rittenhouse then had offered you his body armor.
Correct.
So, did you accept that?
Yes, I did.
So, to your knowledge, and if you know, did Mr. Rittenhouse say anything that would lead you to believe that he had he had 2 sets of body armor or anything else?
No, he did not.
So, what time? So you go down to CarSource, right?
Correct.
And who do you go there with on the 25th?
Myself at first, and then I end up meeting Kyle and Dominic there after I left my house about 15 minutes. I had arrived at Car Source, and they met me there within 10-15 minutes of being there.
And was that a planned kind of location meeting?
Yes.
Were you aware whether or not Mr. Rittenhouse and or Mr. Black had spoken to anybody from Car Source earlier that morning?
I was not aware.
So you, if I have this right, you're there about 4 o'clock.
I arrived there, I would say, 5 o'clock. We went to go get the body armor around 4 o'clock.
So you, and which Car Source do you arrive at?
59th Street location, Car Doctor.
And you said shortly thereafter, Mr. Rittenhouse and Mr. Black arrive?
Correct.
And what do you do? What happens then?
I meet with the owner of Car Source, Sam, and tell him what's going to be going on.
Okay, so at about 5-ish on
Yeah.
the 25th, you have contact with the person you know to be Sam.
Correct.
And that is at the 59th Street Car Doctor location?
Correct.
And when you get there and you see Sam, what does he do?
Gives me a hug and tells me thank you for coming.
He didn't tell you at any point to get off that property?
No, he did not.
He didn't tell you that you were trespassing or anything like that?
No, he did not.
Was there any conversation that you had with Sam relating to any type of payment, or were you doing this for free, or how was this going to happen?
When I had arrived at the location, he said he would throw me some money to split between the guys that were helping us.
And did he ever do that?
No, he did not.
So you hug Sam, you talk to him for a little bit. What does he do, if anything, in terms of kind of helping you guys with buildings and things like that? Getting into buildings, anything like that?
He gives me a set of keys to the 59th Street location.
So that's the Car Doctor location?
Car Doctor, yes, correct.
Okay. So he hands you a set of keys so you can go in?
Correct. Well, he had actually, we talked briefly, and then he said he was actually heading home, and that his brother Sal would give us a ride over to the 63rd Street location because he was locking up, and that his brother Sal would give me the keys.
And did you end up meeting up with his brother Sal?
Correct, his brother was there.
And did his brother Sal then give you the keys?
Correct.
You had testified that there was a plan, that you had a plan to be on the roof of that building.
Correct.
How were you planning on getting up there?
A ladder.
And where was, if you know, well, how did you know that there was a ladder there?
I had previously worked there and knew there were ladders, and Sam had also showed me where the ladders were at the Car Doctor.
And when you say Sam showed you where the ladders were, do you mean on the 25th?
Yes, correct.
So you then make contact with Sal.
Correct.
And are there other people there to help you protect the Car Doctor?
Not at the moment. When we had arrived at the 63rd Street location, we'd stood around for about 10 minutes, and that's when another group of individuals in their cars had pulled up and asked if we needed any assistance that night.
And what did you say?
I said if they want to, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. Did you know who they were before they got there?
No, I did not.
Do you know the names of any of those people today?
I know one of the names.
And who is that?
Ryan Belch.
And to be fair, at the 59th Street Car Source, Dominic Black is armed, is that right?
Correct.
And Mr. Rittenhouse is armed as well?
Correct.
Mr. Balch?
Correct.
Okay. So, how long are you at the Car Doctor, before Sal leaves?
We were not at Car Doctor when these people arrived. He'd given us a ride from Car Doctor to the 63rd Street location, and that's where we met these people. And then
Okay, hold on. Sal gave who a ride?
Me, Dominic, and Kyle. We were waiting for Justin, Colin, and Austin to get there.
And Sal, do you remember the car he gave you? Do you remember the make of car he gave you a ride in?
It was either a Mercedes or a BMW.
And you went from 63rd down to 59th?
No, 59th to 63rd.
Now, there has been, this jury has seen a photograph.
Correct.
Where was that photograph taken?
63rd.
Okay. That's 30. So, Mr. Smith, are you in that picture?
Yes, I am.
And which one of those people is you?
I'm the one wearing the red cross on helmet. The white helmet.
Okay, so you're fourth from the right?
Correct.
Okay. And there's been testimony that the guy on the far left is Sal, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. After that photo is taken, does Sal ever tell you, I want you to leave here, I don't want you here, you're causing problems? Anything, does he say anything that
No.
would indicate he doesn't want your presence?
No. He was very grateful for our presence.
So what happens after Sal leaves? Can you tell me where everybody goes, if you know?
Yes. Actually, shortly after Sam had left, another group of Latino Americans had arrived in the parking lot with melee weapons, telling us that they could watch that location for us for that night. And after that, we'd walked down to 59th Street location to meet up with Austin, Justin, and Colin.
And when you get to the 59th Street location, who's with you?
Ryan Belsh, two of his friends. It was either two or three of his friends. Colin, Dominic, Kyle, Justin, and Austin.
And are there, for lack of a better term, kind of locations that people are going to kind of be at for the night?
Correct.
And what is your location going to be?
The roof.
And only if you know, do you know what Kyle's location is going to be?
Did not state where he was going to be.
I'll ask it to you this way. Was he on the roof with you?
No.
At some point when you're on the roof, do the protesters, rioters, whatever, are they starting to move south down Sheridan Road?
That is correct.
And about what time is that?
They had previously done it before I went on the roof as well.
Okay.
Around, I would say, 8:30.
And at that point, are you on the roof?
I am not on the roof at that point, no.
Once they start moving south on Sheridan, do you take a position on the roof?
After they dissipate, within 10 minutes, I do take position on the roof, yes.
And while you're on the roof, does anything happen to you?
Yes, our group would get chemical bombed from the protesters.
And when you say chemical bombed, can you just explain kind of what you believe that means?
I believe it was an ammonia and bleach bomb they made inside of a plastic bottle and threw it up on the roof.
Now, to be fair, you didn't see who did that, right?
No, I did not see who did that.
And anything else that was happening to you while you were on the roof other than the ammonium
Bricks.
bomb?
They were throwing bricks at us.
And again, to be fair, you're not sure who that was.
No, I am not.
You might not have known that night, but there was a gentleman there by the name of Joseph Rosenbaum.
Correct.
That night, did you see him?
No, I did not. I was not paying attention.
So there was no contact between you and Mr. Rosenbaum?
No, there was not.
Did you see Mr. Rittenhouse that evening?
Yes, I did.
And can you describe what, if anything, you noticed that he was doing?
He was standing in the parking lot.
Okay. There's been testimony about him repeatedly yelling medic, medic, medic throughout the evening. Did you ever see him do anything as it relates to being a medic?
I do not know. I was not paying attention.
Okay. Do you have any medical training?
Some.
Okay. Is that in part the reason for the
Correct.
cross on the hat. And can you just briefly tell us a little bit about your medical training?
My brother, who was an infantryman in the Marine Corps, has taught me CLS, Combat Life Saving, which is... Yes, ma'am. My brother, who was in the infantry in the Marine Corps, had taught me CLS, Combat Life Saving, and taught me briefly on what to do with gunshot wounds, lacerations, and things like that.
Was there at any point that evening, sir, did you become armed?
Yes, I did.
And when was that?
When the first crowd had pushed towards us, when the police had pushed the first crowd down Sheridan Road, Ryan Belch handed me off his pistol and said, just in case.
And did you feel at that point that it was necessary or not?
Yes and no.
Okay. I'll let you explain it.
Yes, because there was a massive amount of people. I would say anywhere between 150 to 250 people. No, because I didn't see any need to have any. I had non-lethal.
Was your location a factor in that at all?
Yes, it was. I was on the ground at that point.
Okay. Did you then move back up to the roof?
I had not moved up to the roof yet. That was when I had moved up to the roof. When the crowd had pushed towards us, the people that were going to be on the roof had, at that time, figured this is a good time to go on the roof because the crowd had dissipated and pushed themselves back towards the courthouse. And that's when we went on the roof.
And do you, when you're on the roof, there's been videos shown, do you see Kyle Rittenhouse at any point after you go back up on the roof?
On the roof, a couple times throughout the night, I see him walking around.
Okay, so you see him, if this is fair, has he left your location and is he moving from location to location?
Correct.
At some point that evening, then, do you hear what you believe to be gunshots?
That is correct.
Right, and when you hear those, where are you?
I am on the roof.
And so, to be fair, you don't see what had happened, is that right?
No, I do not.
And there's been testimony regarding two instances, one involving Mr. Rosenbaum, the other involving Mr. Huber and Mr. Grosskreutz. Do you see either one of those happenings?
No, I do not.
Is there a time, well, let me ask you this, when you hear the shooting, do you get off the roof?
I get off the roof because Dominic had received a phone call. At the time, I had not known we received a phone call from, and he had stated that we have to leave. It is getting hectic. And the prior events that just occurred, gunshots, we all concluded that that was a safe bet, that it was getting crazy, so everybody that was on the roof had now got off the roof.
So when you get off the roof, do you see Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yes, I do.
And where do you see him?
Inside the shop, sitting down.
And how does he look to you?
Sweating, pale.
Does he say anything?
He repeats, I just shot someone, over and over, and I believe at some point he did say he had to shoot someone.
What happens then?
I tell him to walk outside and turn himself in. That was a safe bet for him. And I told him to walk outside, and he had said I had to shoot someone. And at that point, I'd left the location because I was in fear that the protesters were going to come to that location.
Okay, one moment. Mr. Smith, I don't have any other questions for you. Thank you for your time.
May I proceed, Your Honor? Mr. Smith, you have actually two juvenile adjudications for violations of the law, correct?
I believe so, yes.
On April 30th, 2000...
No.
His answer was, I might. He didn't answer correctly.
I don't think we conducted the usual discussion prior, and we didn't. And I explicitly said 2, and I don't know what happened, but the matter is covered. Move on to something else.
So, Mr. Smith, you indicated that you met up with the defendant and Dominic Black and borrowed the defendant's body armor. Is that right?
That is correct.
Can you describe that for us, please? What
The
is
body
that?
armor?
Yes.
It's a plate carrier. It's a vest. Yeah, a vest.
So it's not like a suit vest.
No, it is not. It's like a armor vest that you would see somebody in the military wearing.
What is it made out of?
I do not know, but it does have body armor inside it, soft armor panels.
Do you know what it is designed to stop or
Bullets.
protect? What kind of bullets?
It was 3A, so 357. Anything up to 357.
A 357 is a caliber that's typically seen in handguns, correct?
That is correct.
This is not the type of body armor that would stop a rifle, correct?
That is correct.
You're familiar with the AR-15s that the defendant and Dominic Black had, correct?
That is correct.
Have you ever shot or used one of those?
In the past, yes, I have.
Those typically fire .223 or .556 caliber, is that right?
That is correct.
And that's the type of caliber that would go through your vest.
That is correct.
Where physically in the world did you go with the defendant to pick up that body armor on Tuesday, August 25th?
I do not recall where I went. I know I'm pretty sure we left to go to my bank to pull out money. I do not remember what transpires afterwards, but Kyle does end up giving me his body armor because we never went and got mine. I do not remember why or what transpired to why we did not go and get it, but Kyle does end up giving me his body armor.
If I understood your testimony correctly, Dominic Black and the defendant came to pick you up that day, is that right?
That is correct.
And I'm not going to ask you your address, but you live relatively within walking distance of this area, correct?
That is correct.
And they didn't pick you up to drive you to this area, they drove you someplace west or south of here, correct?
I do not remember.
When they came to pick you up, whose vehicle were they driving?
Dominic's.
Was the plate carrier body armor already in the vehicle?
Yes, it was.
From the defendant?
That is correct, the defendant's body armor.
And you said that you chose not to have a gun that night because you felt the body armor would be sufficient protection. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
What were you worried about?
The way the previous nights of what I'd seen, I was worried somebody was going to shoot me or anything. I just wanted a means of protection.
What had you seen on the previous night that made you feel that while you were protecting a business here in Kenosha, someone was going to shoot you?
A lot of individuals armed with rifles and pistols, acting irate throughout the nights.
Did you see or hear of anyone who actually shot anyone on those prior nights?
No, I did not.
But it's fair to say that when you came downtown on Tuesday, August 25th, you were concerned about the potential of violence, correct?
That is correct.
You were particularly concerned that that violence would come from the people on the street, the protesters, demonstrators, whatever word you want to call them. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
You felt that they not only posed a danger to the physical property you were at, but you personally for guarding that property. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
When is the last time before August 25th, 2020 that you worked for Sal or Sam or any member of their family?
2019.
I want to make sure we're very precise about the properties that we're talking about. You've got a map there behind you, and I'm going to represent to you, Mr. Smith, that there is a location that is marked Car Source that is on the northeast corner of 59th Street and Sheridan Road. Do you see that labeled Car Source?
Yes, I do.
Would you agree with me that that location is properly called Car Source?
The dealership or the mechanic shop?
The one that's on the northeast corner. I have a laser pointer if that would help.
Yes, it would.
I'm talking about this location here.
Yes, that is labeled Car Source.
And is that the proper name of it?
Yes, sir.
There is another location that is on the southwest corner of that intersection. Do you see where I'm pointing?
Yes, I do.
It is labeled on that map Car Source. Is that accurate?
Yes and no. They use two different names.
What is the other name they use?
Car Doctor.
When we're talking, if it's helpful, if it's okay with you, can we refer to that as Car Doctor?
Yes.
Okay. And to be clear, that is the location, Car Doctor, where you spent almost the entire evening and mostly on the roof. Fair to say?
Correct.
There is a third location at the corner of 63rd and Sheridan that is also marked Car Source on that map. Is that accurate to call that Car Source?
Yes.
Okay. Is it correct to say that your plan personally that night was to guard the Car Doctor location?
That is correct.
You mentioned you had last worked for these folks about a year before this, fair to say?
Correct.
Had you ever worked at that Car Doctor location?
Correct.
Were you familiar with the things that had been inside the building when you last worked there?
Yes.
When you were there on Tuesday night, August 25th, did it appear that some of the property inside had already been moved out of there?
Some of it, yes, but
So-
not all of it.
A lot of the mechanics tools and diagnostic equipment, things like that?
Not a lot of it. There were still actual mechanic benches still in there, the actual roll-in benches. So those were still in there. I don't know if they were possessed any tools inside them, but there were, from my acknowledgement, tools still inside the building.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but when that location was being used to do mechanic work or detailing or whatever would be done, there would typically be cars that needed to be worked on that were parked in the lot. Is that right?
Correct.
On the night of August 25th, those cars had already been moved out of there. Fair to say?
Some of them.
And the 63rd Street location, the one farther south, that also normally would be a lot that would be full of cars to be sold. Fair to say?
That is correct.
And when you were there on Tuesday night, August 25th, those cars had all been moved out.
Not
correct?
all of them, no.
You indicated that on the night of August 24th, you were helping to put out fires. Is that right?
That is correct.
Was that at the Car Doctor location?
Yes, it was.
Where were the fires?
In the parking lot right next to it.
Were they cars that were on fire?
Yes, they were.
Not the building itself.
No.
And you said that on that particular night, none of the owners of the company were physically there helping to put out the fires. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So they were relying on you and other folks to do their work for them.
Correct.
Similarly, the next day, when you spoke to Sam or Sal or both of them, the plan was you were going to guard the property or be there at the property, and those owners weren't going to be there anymore, right?
That is correct.
They were going to pay you a couple $100s. Is
That
that
is
right?
correct.
And you never got any of that money.
No, I did not.
You indicated that your personal plan at the car doctor location was to spend the time up on the roof. Is that right?
That is right.
And you didn't feel you needed a gun up on the roof. Is that right?
That is correct. I did not.
How were you going to protect the building from the roof?
I had multiple other friends there with rifles.
So they were the ones
Correct.
who were going to be protecting it with their rifles.
Correct. I was providing overwatch.
What does that mean?
I was watching the building. I was watching the building from the roof, making sure that nobody went inside or damaged the property on the building. The cars were burnt, so we didn't care about the cars.
So whatever cars were left on that lot were a lost cause.
All of them.
You were worried about the structure.
Correct.
That entire night, there was no damage to that
That is
structure.
correct.
No fire, correct?
Correct.
No stolen machinery or equipment, correct?
Correct.
You said that you didn't see any reason why you would need to confront anyone with a gun that night. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that because you didn't feel that using a gun to protect a building was appropriate?
Yes and no. It was appropriate in the needs when the situation would arise, but at the moment, throughout the nights that I had previously seen, was not required.
What sort of situation would arise with regard to that car doctor building where you would feel it would have been appropriate to use a gun?
It's irrelevant. His judgment, what he would consider appropriate for him might be a different judgment than another person could lawfully reach.
Was there ever a time on the night of August 25th where you saw a situation with regard to the car doctor building that you felt it was necessary to use a gun?
No.
You were shown a photograph that was taken of you earlier in that evening. Were you wearing the body armor in that picture?
Yes, I was.
Can we put that picture up back again, please? That's exhibit number 30. So, Mr. Smith, you are the individual wearing the white hat with the red cross on it. Is that right?
That is correct.
What does that hat mean? Oh, sorry. Where's the... Oh, okay, good, thank you. Okay, cool. Okay, so you have this white hat with the red cross on. What does that mean?
First aid.
Was that your way of letting everyone know that you were there to treat people that had a medical situation?
Yes.
Did you ever treat anyone?
No, I did not.
So help me understand. Why wear a hat telling people that you're there to help when you're up on the roof and can't?
Providing aid for my guys up on the roof.
So your intent was to let the 3 or 4 other people that were going to join you on the roof know that if they needed help, you were there for them.
Correct.
Did you have medical supplies with you?
Yes, I did.
What kind of medical supplies did you have?
I had what's called an IFAC, an individual first aid kit, which has chest seals, clotting powder, tourniquet, and that's about it. A couple other medical supplies, gauze.
Did you ever have to use any of that?
No, I did not.
So it's fair to say that despite the chemical bomb, the bricks, and whatever else was going on at the car doctor location, no one in your group got injured.
No.
Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say yes.
You indicated that once you got up on the roof, you really weren't aware of where the defendant went the rest of the evening. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say yes.
You were asked earlier about Joseph Rosenbaum, and I just want to be clear. As you sit here today, a year after all this happened, you know who Joseph Rosenbaum is.
I do know, yes.
At the time, that night, had you ever heard that name before?
No, I did not.
And looking back, do you remember encountering him at all that night?
Not at all, no.
I'm going to ask you the same questions about Anthony Huber. You know who he is as you sit here today.
I do know, yes.
On that particular evening, did you have any idea who he was?
Nope.
Did you ever see him as far as you remember?
No, I did not.
Same thing with Gage Grosskreutz. You know who he is today.
Yes, I do today.
On that evening, had any idea who he was?
Nope.
Ever remember seeing him?
Nope.
So these rocks or chemical bombs or bricks or whatever was being thrown at you on the roof, you are not here telling us Joseph Rosenbaum was doing that, right?
Correct. I could not see who was throwing them.
And maybe I misheard you. I thought I heard you say at one point that you had non-lethal?
Yes, that is correct.
What do you mean by that?
Pepper spray and a pepper gun.
What is a pepper gun?
It shoots pepper spray out of it.
I just want to make sure I understand. You listed pepper spray and pepper gun. Are those two different things?
I believe at the time that I had it had pepper balls in it. I don't think it was actually like pepper gel. It was a pepper ball gun.
And that's something that you carried that evening because you could use that to defend yourself if there was a need.
Correct. Deter, not defend. Deter somebody. If the situation arose, I could deter whoever was coming at me.
Okay. Do you mean deter, like scare them off or
Correct.
ward them away?
Correct.
Did you ever have to use that?
No, I did not.
You indicated that after you heard the shootings, the defendant came back, you described what he looked like, and you said he just shot someone and that he had to, correct?
Correct.
Did he ever say who he shot?
No, he did not.
Did he ever say how many people he shot?
I do not remember.
Did he ever say anything about the condition, like whether those people were armed?
He did not say anything about them being armed.
Did he ever say that they threatened him?
I do not remember.
Did he ever say he feared for his life?
Do not remember.
Did he ever say anything about any weapons that he saw on any of the people that he shot?
No, I do not remember.
And he didn't tell you how many people he shot either?
No.
I was a little confused by the end of your testimony because in one statement you said you told him to go outside and turn himself in, correct?
Correct.
But in another statement you said you left because you were fearful the protesters were coming to that location.
I left after I told him that.
Okay. So help me understand, if the protesters are coming, you assumed these protesters were coming to harm you or the defendant or members of your group, right?
Correct.
So putting the defendant outside was going to put him in danger, right?
Yes, it would have, yes. If the protesters were coming, yes.
Did you know whether they were coming?
I did not know whether they were coming or not.
From the roof, you could see the line of police cars along 60th and Sheridan, correct?
Correct.
So you knew the police were there.
Correct.
In fact, by that time of the evening, the police had pushed all the protesters south of 60th, right?
Correct.
There were no more protesters around that car doctor location, correct?
Correct.
As far as you could tell, there was no more danger to that building. Fair?
Correct.
Why were you still there?
To just watch over the building the rest of the night. I mean, the prior nights, a lot of the stuff had died down, or so we had thought. There was fires around 8 o'clock the prior nights, and then later in the night, around 2 a.m. on the first night, is when Car Source got lit on fire at 2 a.m.
So you were planning on staying all night?
Correct.
Up on the roof?
Correct.
But after the defendant comes back, you leave?
Correct.
Why?
I was in fear that the protesters or the crowd would retaliate or any means, and I, at that point, had deemed that building a lost cause.
If you didn't know how many people the defendant had shot, and you didn't know who they were, why did you assume it was the protesters that were going to be upset with the defendant at that moment?
I do not know.
You told someone else in your group, Joanne Fiedler, that the police were coming to the building, didn't you?
I do not remember.
So you never came back to that location and told Ms. Fiedler that the police were coming to the building. Is that correct?
I do not remember. I mean, it's been over a year, so I do not remember.
Obviously, if you think the defendant should have turned himself into the police at that moment and the police were coming to that building, you would have wanted him to stay there, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
Redirect.
I just have a couple questions for you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Binger had asked you if there was ever a time that night at the car doctor that you felt it was appropriate or necessary that firearms would be used. Do you remember that?
Yes.
At any point on the 25th, were you ever at the car doctor? Were you ever attacked?
I was not.
Did anybody ever threaten to kill you at that location?
I do not recall, no.
Did anybody threaten to kill you to your face, meaning
No.
they walked up to you and said, "I'm going to kill you"?
No.
Did anybody chase after you that evening?
No.
I have nothing else.
Any question?
No.
You may step down, sir.
We would call Joanne Fiedler.
Stand, please. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Oh, hello.
Will you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Joanne Fiedler, Joann, Fiedler, Fiedler.
And Ms. Fiedler, I don't need to know your specific location of address, but can you give us the city that you live in?
West Bend.
And how old are you, ma'am?
How old am I?
Yep.
56.
Sorry.
Relevant to that.
There isn't one, I guess. Sorry. Are you employed?
Yes.
And what do you do? I don't need to know where you work. Just can you tell me what
I
you
work
do?
in manufacturing.
You were, if I'm right, interviewed by the FBI as it relates to the incident on August 25th, 2020. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, if I could ask you, in the summer prior to August 25th of 2020, there's been conversations and testimony about civil unrest throughout the country. Was that something that you were paying attention to?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury what you were thinking about it, what, if anything, you did about it, things like that?
Well, I understood when BLM wanted to march, we were all with them and everything, but then they started destroying their own communities, and I didn't believe in that. That really struck me hard. And then the 71-year-old business owner that got beat down, that bothered me a lot. Veterans bother me a lot, and the elderly bother me a lot. And children, of course, too, but that just didn't sit right with me. And you keep hearing everybody always saying, somebody's got to stand up, somebody's got to stand up.
So was there anything based on your feelings that you did in relation to that?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Was there anything that you had actually done? Any groups that you started, anything
Oh,
you participated
yeah.
in as it relates to kind of what you were observing?
Yes. Actually, we started a patriot group. It's United Citizens for Patriotism. We wanted to show support for the country, support for the police, because they were asking to be defunded, support for all the emergency workers that were going out there into these riots, cleaning up, firemen, So just everybody that serves their country, our community services, and just show support for them. And we just stood out with our flags to let everybody know that, you know, we were thinking of them, we were there for them. We tried to do food drives. We tried to get the fire department involved. We got the police involved, but everything was limited, or they weren't able to bring out their trucks to do community things because of COVID.
And prior to August 25th of 2020, did you know who Kyle Rittenhouse was?
No,
Had you ever had, to your knowledge, any contact with him whatsoever?
no, none.
And so this group that you had talked about, that you had stood out and kind of waved flags, were there other people, relative or as it relates to this case, that were part of that group?
Yes, there was Dustin and Danton.
Okay.
So me and Danton more or less started it with another guy in the area, and then just more people came up to see what was going on and just talking to them and what we were standing there for. We met Dustin that way.
Does the name Ryan Balch mean anything to you?
Yeah, he had walked up one day when we were standing, I think 3 weeks or end of July, beginning of August, walked up in his military uniform and started talking to the guys. I didn't really have communication with him at that time, but he was talking to the guys and made friends with them.
So if I could then kind of direct your attention to 24th, 25th of August. Was there a time then that you had made a decision that you were going to come to Kenosha?
Yes.
And when was that, if you know, when was that decision made?
Just after seeing all the violence and the fires going on, I just got a phone call and said, hey, we're going to go down and help protect businesses. Do you want to come along?
And what date was that, if you remember?
I think it was the 25th, correct?
I'm not, you tell me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's the 24th or the 25th.
Okay. And based on that call that you got, was there some kind of plan put in place or some discussion about what you were going to do?
Not that I'm aware of, I just know we were driving down.
Okay. And who were you driving with?
I was driving with Danton Merritts.
And were there, so it was just the two of you?
Just the two of us to start, yes.
Okay, so you said just to start, were there other people that are relevant to this case that were part of that?
Yes, we met up at a park and ride and met Dustin and Ryan.
And that's Ryan Balch.
Yes.
And if you know, at about what time do you think that you met up with them at the park and ride?
5-ish.
Okay, so 5-ish on the 25th?
Yes.
And did you know of any specific location you were going or plan that was in place on what you were going to do when you got there?
I didn't really have the specifics. No, I didn't know of any plan.
So to be fair, you drive down with Danton Mertz.
Yes.
Where do you go in Kenosha? Do you remember?
Yeah, we came down Sheridan and we wound up at the car source on 63rd.
And was that just you and Danton, or was Ryan Balch and Dustin also there?
With Ryan, Balch, and Dustin, they were in front of us. We were following them, so
And
they pulled in there.
Sorry. And to your knowledge, was going to Car Source just kind of happenstance? Meaning, was it a plan that was in place, Tino?
To me, it was just a happenstance.
And about what time do you think you got there?
It had to be at least 7-ish if I estimate the time, how long it takes to get here.
And when you got there, who was there?
Nick was there. He had the...
Oh, hold on. Nick is Nick Smith?
Yes.
Did you know Nick Smith before you got there?
No.
Okay, so you met Nick Smith that day.
Yes.
Okay, so Nick Smith is there.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I seen him. We got out. He came up, introduced himself, and then we met. What Nick introduced us to was the owner of Car Source.
Okay. And Do you recall that person's name?
I didn't. He gave me like the full Indian name. I wouldn't be able to repeat that. I don't recall.
Okay. When he was introduced to you, did he do anything? Did he just shake your hand? Did he just look at you? What did he do?
Oh yeah, he was happy to see us. He was crying. He was thanking us, and I even commented, I heard you had cars that burned down, because we did drive by that when we came up to that business. And he, excuse me, he had told us that he had over 100 cars that were burnt that night. So,
No, I'm sorry. When you said he was crying, there's crying, happy crying, sad crying. Do you recall?
no, it was sad crying. He would, well, I don't know if it was sad or happy. I know he was happy to see us, but I know he's sad about his 100 cars, the situation.
So, Exhibit 30, which is this picture, I just want to make sure if I'm right, you're the person third from the left.
Yes.
Is that right? You have the white hat on or
Yes.
helmet on?
Yes.
And is the person that's on the left of that picture, is that the person who you would say was crying? And is that who that
Yes,
is?
that's the man that Nick introduced as the owner.
And after you were introduced to the owner, what happened after that? Did he stay? Did he leave, if you know?
He just disappeared. I didn't see where he went. He just disappeared. We parked our cars and just met back there then.
Now, is this the location that you met Kyle Rittenhouse at?
Yes.
And I think you had said you had met him before, but was he there when you got there?
No.
So he showed up after you were already there?
Yeah, I believe we actually took 2 pictures before Kyle showed up.
And if you recall, of those people, who did he show up with, if you remember?
Dominic, which I think is on the right of Kyle.
The guy that's on the far right?
Yep.
Your far right?
Yes.
And was there, so after you take this picture, is there kind of a plan in place on what you all are going to do?
Just from what I remember, Nick wanted to split us up. He mentioned there was 3 businesses, and he wanted to split us all up, and one group go here, one group go there.
Did the person on the far left, the owner of the car source, did he ever tell you to leave? Did he ever say that to you?
No, not at all.
Did he ever tell you that you were trespassing and he didn't want you there?
No, not at all.
So you leave, and where do you go?
We walked up to the 59th in Sheridan business. It was kind of kitty corner where he had all the cars burnt down the night before.
Okay, and who, if you recall, went with you?
That was Nick and me and Dustin and Danton and Ryan. I think there was another kid in there which I don't recognize, and then Kyle and Dominic.
Now, if you know, was there any discussion about? You said that the owner said, or somebody said there were 3 locations. Was there a plan to protect all 3? Were you just assigned to one? Do you know how that kind of played out?
As far as I recall, it was just to protect the one on the 63rd in Sheridan, and the other one was on the 59th in Sheridan.
And you went to the 59th?
Yes.
So when you get to the 59th in Sheridan, are you armed?
Yes.
Okay. And what are you armed with?
I carry a .380 pistol.
Okay. So in that picture, is that pistol somewhere on your person?
I don't know if it was yet.
But you're not disputing that you had one?
No, I'm not disputing that at all.
Okay. And when you go to the 59th Street car source, where are you located? Meaning, we've heard testimony about people on the roof, people on the ground. Where are you?
Oh, I'm on the ground.
And can you tell us who else is on the ground with you?
Kyle, Dustin, Ryan. Yeah, the four of us were on the ground.
So how close to you is Mr. Rittenhouse at the 59th Street address?
Maybe 5 or 10 feet to my left.
So at that location, he's standing near you for at least a portion of the night?
Yes.
And when you see him at that location and he's with you, what is he doing? He being Mr. Rittenhouse.
To begin with, or?
Well, you guys are just there on 59th as the night is progressing, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing anything? Is he staying there? Is he leaving the property? What is he doing?
No, he was staying there. We were all staying there.
Okay. There's been conversations about, and I'll ask you if you look at that picture, there's that little orange box in front of him. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any time during that evening that you saw him doing anything other than simply standing there?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Can you tell us what you saw?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was other people that did walk by before, like, the bigger crowd of the protesters came through, and he was offering medic services. We had a girl walk up that, I don't know if she broke her ankle or twisted her ankle, that he actually helped bandage her up so she could walk out because her boyfriend had to kind of carry her.
And when he did that, when he was doing that, did he ever ask you for any assistance in terms of, as it relates to his firearm?
Yes.
And what did he ask you to do?
He just asked me to hold on to his gun, and I did.
So he would take it off, if I'm hearing you right, he would take it off, and then while he was working on whoever had walked by and asked for help.
Yes.
And can I have a picture of Cordy? That evening, do you remember seeing the man in the front?
Yes.
Okay, I'm talking about the man with the red shirt on.
Correct.
Okay. Did you know who he was that night?
No.
You didn't know his name?
No.
Okay. Do you remember him from that night?
Very distinctly.
Okay. Can you tell the people on the jury why you remember him?
I remembered seeing him with his red shirt, and the thing that caught me was the green earring. And this was when BLM had just come down in front of us, and there was some other gentlemen that were talking with Ryan. They were talking, things were calm, and I saw him, and it was kind of a back and forth because I had some of the female protesters that were standing in front of me taunting me. So they were doing Black Lives Matter, right? And I just wasn't taking a side. I was just there to protect a business. So I would look and survey and go to them, and I would look and survey, and I would see Rosenbaum standing there, and I saw the plastic bags in his back pocket. I didn't know what it was. And then, can I go on?
Well, is there anything that he had said that evening that you took notice of or would remember?
Yeah, that's the part I was kind of getting to is,
okay.
I know you guys call him Mr. Yellow Pants, and that's kind of what we called him. He jumped up on the car, and everybody started screaming, "Get off the car," and Black Lives Matter was screaming, and he was shouting, and Rosenbaum started shouting back at us that he's gonna, pardon me, Judge, for saying this and everybody else, but he was gonna kill us motherfuckers, motherfucking niggers, and cut our hearts out.
The gentleman on the screen there said that?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple times.
And what was your group's response to that, if any, when he said that?
None. You kind of are frozen at the verbiage and the threats coming out of him. I mean, the whole night was quite shocking, but we didn't really do anything. We just kind of stood there. You have to ignore that.
Was there anything else that you saw him do that you remembered?
Yeah, Yellow Pants was screaming. I saw that. I was going back to the ladies that were taunting me and going back and looking at him. And as I looked at him, I saw his arm go up and like something, like he lobbed something. And then within seconds, my eyes started watering, my nose started watering, I started coughing. I didn't know what a chemical bomb was. I didn't know. All of a sudden, I just heard guys screaming, chemical bomb, chemical bomb. And I just pulled my mask up.
Did you see him specifically throw something?
Yes.
Do you remember what it... Oh, let's continue this way. Do you remember what he... I'm not asking that you say he threw a bomb. I'm asking if you know what was in his hand that he threw.
Yeah, he went back and threw like that.
Do you remember what he threw? Meaning, did he throw a... What was it?
I don't recall.
Okay. That evening, did you, while he was in your purview, your sight, did you see Mr. Rittenhouse threaten anyone?
Oh, no.
Did you see him point his gun at anyone?
No.
Was there anyone there that had, I guess, strike that. After you see Rosenbaum, and he does what you say he does, do you see Kyle stay there, or does he leave that location?
It was later in the evening after the police finally moved him down. We were all standing outside because we kind of thought it was over. And then you just heard the ruckus going on down by the gas station. I think it's the Ultimate. And then we heard gunshots. And that's when Kyle and Ryan and Dustin and Lurk, I think his nickname was Lurk or Work.
Okay.
They left.
So, did you see? Well, I'll ask it to you this way. So you heard? Are you telling me that you heard gunshots and then Kyle left?
Yes.
And if you recall, how close in time was that to about 11:50, if you know?
Oh,
I'll ask it to you this way. How close was it in time, you know now, that Kyle ended up being chased by Mr. Rosenbaum and shooting him?
Oh, that was way before.
Way before?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm asking you is, later in the night, was there a time that you were aware that Kyle tried to get back to you
Oh, yes.
and couldn't?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been a while. So we did see him because I was standing right along the wall, so I was like the first person when you came up to the business. So I was standing up front and I was watching because the Bearcats were all right there by the intersection and the gas station was right on the other corner. So he did come back. He had his hands in the air and he even said, "I'm working over at that business over there." I could hear him telling the police that. And they told him, "No, turn around, you can't go through, you have to get back." And we were even yelling, "Let him through, let him through."
Did you see him then turn around and go back?
Yeah, I thought he was going to go back to the Ultimate gas station. It looked like he was going over there, so...
And is that the last time before the shooting that you saw him?
Yeah.
Now, from your location, you don't see what happened with Mr. Rosenbaum, just let me finish, with Mr. Rosenbaum, Mr. Huber, and Mr. Grosskreutz, right?
Yes, correct.
Do you see Kyle after that?
Yes, I do.
When?
I think after everything had happened, he had come back up. I heard from the guys on the roof, they're like, "Open the door, it's Kyle." So I opened up, because we had to keep the front door locked. I opened up the door, he kind of came running in and kind of fell into me, and there was a chair right there, so he sat down there. I saw him after everything had happened.
How did he look to you?
Totally in shock.
Can you give me some physical descriptors that would make...
Yes, I'm sorry.
Kind of you...
He was pale, shaking, kind of stuttering, stammering his words. He was sweating.
Do you recall him saying anything?
Yes, he had come in and he looked at me, he said right out that he had shot someone, and he kind of sat down in the chair and he was looking for his brother. He's asking for his brother Dominic, and he sat down. I remember him pulling his hair back, and he's pulling it back really hard, and just his comment was, "My God, my life might be over." And we're just like, okay, calm down.
After he said his life might be over, did anybody ask him anything about the circumstances, about what had happened?
Yeah, Dustin had come in at that time, and Dustin had commented. Dustin was kind of.
I'm gonna object to
Yeah,
your
don't.
statement.
Fair enough. I don't want to know what Dustin said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll ask it to you this way then. Did Kyle respond to anything that was said?
Yes,
What was that?
that was that he had to.
After he said that, do you know, did you stay? Did you leave? What happened?
No, he wanted his brother Dominic, and I know Dominic was on the roof. I took his gun. Like I said, he was just shaking, so I took his gun. I ran out back. I set his gun on one of the trucks out back, and then I went up the ladder and I called the guys and I yelled, "Dominic, get down here." So he came down, and when I came back in, they were talking. And
My last question or two is, you had said that you had climbed up a ladder to get up on the roof.
yeah,
You just said that. Okay. Do you know where those ladders came from?
no, I know we went into business when we first got there, and they were all in the back. So it's like a building, and then it's like a back parking lot that's fenced in.
Okay.
And in that back fenced-in areas where they have the sheds and all, and Nick went in there and pulled everything out, and that's how the guys have got up on the roof in the back.
During the evening, throughout the evening, was there a period of time that, other than doing medical work, that you saw Kyle doing anything else to kind of assist in the community?
Yeah, actually, me and Kyle ran. Excuse me. We ran. I think it's north. Is it this way up Sheridan? Can't see a
So
map.
hold on.
Sorry, my direction is a little off right now.
When you point, something I would do. So are you going this way?
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm moving that. That would be, the parties will agree. I think that's
Yeah.
correct.
Oh, yeah. Towards St. James Church.
All right.
So we ran up there because there was they were starting a fire on the plywood doors. They had covered up all the doors, and they actually started, or whatever you call it, fluid, whatever you want to start a fire. They threw it all over that door, and we're trying to start the front door of the church on fire. So me and Kyle had actually run up to that area to try to put the fire out, but people that were running along with the protesters had gone up there and put the fire extinguisher out, and then we just walked back.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ms. Fiedler, that last thing you told us about with the church, neither you nor the defendant actually put out any fire at the church.
No, not at the church, no.
Someone that was with the protesters did that.
I believe they're with the protesters.
You spoke to the FBI on August 31st, 2020. Is that right?
I'm not sure about the date, but yes, I spoke with the FBI.
About 6 days after this all happened?
Yeah, probably yes.
And you told them that you contacted the defendant's mother the morning after all this happened and told her to be strong. Is that right?
Probably yes.
You also said that after this incident, you had been in contact with the defendant's attorney. Is that right?
No, I don't. I read that, and I don't know what he meant by that, because I wasn't. I've never spoke to him.
So you've read your statement to the FBI.
Yes.
That was a statement that was a summary of what you said to Special Agent Tim Walther on August 31st, 2020. Is that right?
Yes.
And in that summary, it says that, in addition, Fiedler has been in contact with Rittenhouse's attorney, John Pierce, regarding the incident and has provided information she deems helpful to Rittenhouse's legal defense.
Actually, the only thing I ever sent was any kind of video that I had. That is it, which I didn't have much. I'm not a video person. So as far as verbal communication, no.
Did you provide video to the defendant's attorney?
I might have. I don't know if it was mine personally. I really don't remember because I don't even have it anymore.
But shortly after this incident, whether it was your video or someone else, you gave something to the defendant's attorney to help him. Fair enough?
Yes, I guess, yes.
And you don't have that video anymore?
No.
You didn't provide it to the FBI?
That's not true. I gave them everything I had.
You gave them that video?
Yes, I gave them everything I had. I showed them my phone. I showed them anything I had.
You gave them text messages?
I gave them everything I had. So when you say that I gave something to the defense attorney, I don't think that was my video. I think it was probably a video I seen or something I passed along because I didn't take any video.
So it's fair to say that whatever you gave to the defense, you were trying to help the defendant, correct?
Yes, I was trying to help the case, not just the defense.
And you have watched a lot of the videos that have been put out on the internet of this evening, correct?
That is not true.
Have you watched any of them?
Yeah, I've watched some of them, yes.
The reason I ask is because you reference these words that Joseph Rosenbaum allegedly said to you and the members of your group. That's not on any video anywhere, is it?
No.
So you are from West Bend, correct?
Yes.
You don't live here in Kenosha.
Nope.
You don't work here in Kenosha.
Nope.
You've never worked at CarSource.
Nope.
Never bought a car at CarSource.
Nope.
Probably had never even heard of CarSource before all this.
No, I haven't.
You came down here that night with no plan of where you were going to be, what businesses you were going to protect, or anything along those lines. Fair?
I personally had no plan, correct.
You were coming down with a group of other people from the West Bend area, correct?
Yes.
You knew there was a curfew in place that night.
Actually, I didn't.
You knew that they were closing off the on-ramps off the interstate so
Yes.
people couldn't come in from out of town to our community like you, correct?
Yes.
In fact, that's why you came down a little earlier, to try and beat that, didn't you?
No, that is not true.
You brought along a .380 pistol.
Yes.
You were going to use that to protect property.
And myself, yes.
How were you going to use that pistol to protect? You said at that time you met up with someone who identified themselves as the owner of that location.
Yes.
You personally didn't have any interaction with that owner, did you?
Yeah, I had a conversation with him.
Do you remember speaking with Steve Spingola, an investigator with regard to this incident?
I couldn't recall names, but
On September 8th, 2020, you had a phone call with him at about 5:30 p.m. Do you remember that?
no, I'm sorry, I don't recall which.
You said you've seen your statement to the FBI. Have you seen the statement that you gave to Investigator Spingola?
I guess not, no.
Let me, may I approach your honor?
Sure.
Well, I think you should first ensure that she acknowledges the conversation, because up to this point, she says she doesn't know if she had such a conversation, and
So I'm trying to help.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna show this. Ms. Fiedler, I'm going to hand you a document here. I'd like you to take a look at it. Take your time. And please let me know if you've ever seen that before. I'm not asking you if it's accurate, ma'am. I'm just asking if you've seen it before.
Well,
No, I've never seen this.
Okay, fair.
That's answered my question.
Thank you. Yep.
You told this individual, Mr. Spingola, that you didn't have any interaction. Have you both confirmed that it is safe? Okay. Could you stand back a little bit, Detective Howard? I want you to be where the jury can all see you. Why don't you step a little bit this way? Ms. Fiedler, can you tell us in your own words, and I'll try and have Detective Howard sort of demonstrate, how was the defendant holding that AR-15 when he was on the 59th Street property, if you know?
Well, the strap was over his shoulder.
Okay.
Yep, on your neck.
Would the gun hang loose, or would he hold on to it?
Just like that.
Okay. So holding it with his right hand on the pistol grip,
Yes.
and sometimes holding it with his left hand or not? Depending.
That could be, I don't recall.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how.
But when
he
it
was holding it.
when it came time for him to help someone out, he took it off and asked you to hold on to it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. You indicated that there was a time in which some females came to the property and were taunting you. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you indicated that they were chanting Black Lives Matter at you?
Yes.
And you took that to be them taunting you?
No, they were saying other things.
Okay. You'd agree with me, though, the only thing you've told us so far is the words Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but I could go into the whole story, but we'd be here for a while.
You also said that there was a man wearing yellow pants who jumped up on a car. Is
Yes.
that right? Was that one of the cars that was on the lot?
Yes.
And the members of your group told him to get off the car, didn't
Yes.
they? And in fact, pointed a gun at him while telling him to do that, correct?
Yeah, 4.5.
You said Mr. Rosenbaum's arm went up and he might have thrown something, but you have no idea what it was, correct?
Correct.
You were then asked about a period of time in which the Kenosha police pushed the crowd past the 59th Street location. Do you remember that part of the evening?
Yes.
And this is the time period when the defendant has gone south of 60th, and you said he tried to come back at one point, etc. You remember that time period in the evening?
Yes.
There were no protesters around 59th Street after the police pushed them back at that time, correct?
That's not totally true. There was an empty lot directly across the street from us, and there were protesters that were walking on the other side of the barricades. The police were screaming at them to get away from there, and they just kept walking through.
After the police pushed the crowd south of 60th, did any protesters come and stand in front of the 59th Street car source?
After they pushed them past
Yeah.
60, they didn't push them past 60, past the gas station.
Let me make sure I'm being clear here.
Okay.
Ms. Fiedler, I'm going to use the pointer here on the map behind you.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this map, so let me,
Yes,
there's
please.
a location on the map that is marked car source, and that is on the southwest corner of 59th Street and Sheridan Road. You'd agree with me that you thought it was over when the police pushed the protesters south.
Correct. And they stopped there. And that was before they had backed up. We had thought it was over.
Okay. So you talked about the defendant returning to the 59th Street car source location.
Yes.
Correct? Now let's be clear. You never saw any of the shootings in this case.
That's correct.
You don't have any personal knowledge about any of that stuff, fair to
No.
say?
Yep, none.
You've been asked about Mr. Rosenbaum. At that evening, you had no idea what his name was.
Correct.
You've described what you saw about him that night, correct?
Yes.
As you sit here today, you know there's a person by the name of Anthony Huber, correct?
Yes.
That night, you never saw him once, correct?
No, I don't. No, I have not.
Okay. You'd agree with me it's correct. You've never
Yes,
seen
I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct.
You know now, today, there's a person by the name of Gage Grosskreutz. Is that yes?
Correct.
That night, never saw him, had no idea who he was. Correct? You indicated that when the defendant returned to your location, he said to you that he had shot someone. Is that right?
Correct.
Meaning one person.
That's what someone is, I guess.
He never said to you he shot 3 people, did he?
No.
He never told you that any of those people had a gun.
What were some of the things they were saying to you?
They were calling me out. Come on, Blondie, come on out here. Not so tough, put your gun down. As soon as I didn't give them their power sign, they just got a little bit more aggressive. Because they were actually kind of friendly at first. Everything was very friendly at first.
When you, Mr. Binger said you never actually saw Mr. Rosenbaum throw anything. Remember him asking or saying that?
Yes, I remember.
Okay. Is this fair? After you saw his arm move, did you see a gas bomb explode?
I believe that it landed on the roof. I don't know because immediately, like, the eyes started watering, the noses started running. So I can't say that I saw anything like that. No.
And Mr. Binger was asking you questions about you never, what Mr. Rittenhouse didn't say when he got into the building, right? He didn't tell you specifics about what happened. Is that true?
Correct.
But he did say that he had to do it. Is that right?
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Any question?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down, ma'am.
Okay.
Let's take a break, folks. Please don't talk about the case during the break. Read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. Either by one of the litigants or myself, so that it's better in the record than just somebody trying to describe what's being portrayed. So I had the photographers who were kind enough to take these pictures, and they are now exhibits A through E. In the record, is there any objection?
No.
No. And they are exhibits in the case which you may use if you wish. Okay.
What time do you want us back, Judge?
I didn't say that, but how about Friday? How about 2:45?